There is Blake Griffin getting shots up. Will he be named a reserve for All-Star Weekend? We're going to find that out shortly. In fact, around 7 o'clock, you can turn into TNT where you'll find that out for sure.
It's cold, boss.
It's so
That
cold.
means it's cold.
Top two teams in the East, one known for his offensive firepower, leading the NBA in scoring, while the other is known for defense.
No, Giannis said, nah, I'm so
Giannis
chilly
bringing
right
the heat.
now.
Giannis bringing the heat.
Yeah, I see you, Snell with the Scully.
Oh, yeah, they both bringing the heat tonight. Both
I'll trade for you, Todd. I'll trade for you.
And
What's Jordan Bell doing?
hey, y'all remember the celebration of the championship?
Yeah.
Still legendary.
Oh,
He's
that's
still
what
out in
that
these
is.
streets, though. Fast forward to present day, that is Mr. Bell, Golden State, out there on the runway to rep and check.
Hey, at least I know it's not cold there because he got them shorts on.
Hey, hit them folks one time.
You guys are going to ask about the trade. I can't really talk about it until the trade call is done. According to what I've heard, that could be sometime around 6 o'clock Eastern time. Could be a few minutes earlier, could be afterwards. Other than that, really can't comment on it.
A blockbuster 6-player trade that you might not have been expecting. Kristaps Porzingis in a 7-player deal going to the Dallas Mavericks. Got Kenny Jet Smith here, Mr. Players Only, Dennis 3D Scott. We're going to chop it up about all of this, get to the bottom, see who won the deal. This trade right here that broke this afternoon. Of course, you're now rocking with the best officially. Ro Parrish here, along with the aforementioned esteemed colleagues of mine, Kenny Jet Smith, Dennis 3D Scott, Players Only.
Real quick, Ro, can you explain to our fans and viewers, though, why Porzingis didn't get traded versus Anthony Davis and his representation getting traded? Because, Kenny, when that happened, I was like, wait a minute, why does Anthony Davis get traded? I don't remember Carmelo getting fined. I don't remember Kyrie getting fined when he asked to be traded. So explain to people so they understand why the difference on this trade, why no one's in this uproar for Porzingis.
So basically breaking down like 3D asked me to do, when you go to your agent and put out an official press release releasing it to the media, that's why the NBA chose to fine Anthony Davis $50K earlier on Monday for requesting a trade publicly.
He had to do that, though.
Why did he have to do it?
Because Anthony Davis is in a different position. He's in a position of trying to let everyone know that he's given the Hornets an opportunity to make a trade and get the Pelicans rather, to make a trade, and New Orleans to make a trade and get assets back. If he did not do that, he could have looked selfish and said, oh, I'm just waiting, and then I don't go to the team I possibly want to play with, and then go somewhere else. So now it gives the true teams that he would actually sign with the opportunity to do it, and it makes everyone a little bit better, and he'll take the $50,000 fine for that.
We talk about making everybody better. Let's talk about this deal right here that's on the table and see who it makes better or break it down. A 7-2
This was
deal.
crazy, man.
You see the Knicks, they received Jordan, Matthews, Dennis Smith Jr., and 2 first-round draft picks. Meanwhile, the Mavericks get Trey Burke, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Mr. Unicorn. So looking at this deal right now.
I didn't realize Courtney Lee was involved too.
Yeah. Well, hey.
That's serviceable, yeah,
Trey
serviceable. Trey Burks played better, kind of rejuvenated, so to speak.
Resurrected his career with the Knicks.
We know what Tim Hardaway Jr. does, Kenny. He knocks down shots. And now the question is, how healthy is Porzingis? Will he play this year now, Kenny? Was he setting out? Was New York Knicks holding him out? So that type of stuff for me needs to come out now, Kenny, and say, yes, the physical, we're going to go through all that process, see where his leg is and so forth. But right now, Kenny, Dallas looks pretty good in this deal.
Pretty good. Like you would say, forget the guys there, Luka Doncic.
Yes. Yes.
You have possibly the youngest up-and-coming superstar, not star. The difference between an all-star and superstar. Luka has a chance to be a superstar. And you're adding Porzingis, who has a chance to be not an all-star, but a superstar. So you're putting in the West the dimension of what everyone else around the West has.
Yeah.
So you look at Golden State, you look at, the Lakers, what they're trying to do, and everyone else is trying to blend. They're saying, okay, Golden State, when you have that fall off and one of those guys leave, now we're right there because you can't really put a team together to compete with Golden State every night.
Right.
But you have to be the one ready when Golden State leaves. When Boogie leaves next year, maybe one of those free agents leave, and all of a sudden we're in the mix. You cannot compete with the current team. So they understand that, I think, and then putting Tim Hardaway as the third or fourth best player on your team.
Another shot maker for the
But where with the Knicks, he's your best player right now, and now he's their fourth best player possibly at times. That, to me, I would say right away. And the Knicks are just saying, hey, we're going for free agency.
I'm glad that you brought up that point because that is how we do in TV. We segue looking at free agency, the potential free agents.
That's a big gamble.
Available. Now,
huge gamble.
If the two players away, talking about Wesley Matthews and DeAndre Jordan, that could potentially create $74 million in cap space available for the Knicks to potentially bring in one of these.
Kemba's going home. Kemba's going home, Kenny.
Think so?
Well, I'm just saying,
but no, you think about this. Can you leave that picture up for 1 second? Can we put that picture back for 1 second? Because
I don't think KD and Clay are never going. I don't think they're going to stiff the market.
But think about this. Okay, let's say KD and Clay and Kawhi Leonard stay where they are, and your two free agents are Kemba Walker and Jimmy Butler. You're not better than with KP, with Porzingis.
Exactly.
So you have to. This is a huge gamble, hoping that a Kevin Durant, a Leonard, a Kyrie Irving and a Klay Thompson, someone else is coming to your team. That's a huge gamble. That's a gamble I don't know if I could have taken at this point. It's just a huge gamble. I'll just leave it as that.
Well, I mean, you talk about looking back at the Knicks over the years, they've gambled a lot this summer of 2010.
And they've been coming up short every year.
So they signed Amari Stoudemire in 2010.
They got an old Amari. They got a banged up Amari.
Yeah, they did.
The Knicks have been doing really, Steve Mills and Scott have been doing some really good things. This is a huge gamble that, you're swinging for the fences. And you have to understand what the climate is of the free agencies, what free agent players are. You have to have your ear to the street. You have to have your ear to the gym. And you have to have your ear to the families. So you have to know a lot to make a move like this, knowing that there is a real strong possibility of what guys are feeling internally.
Right.
Because this is an internal feeling. Because, you look at Paul George last year.
Yep.
This guy turned down the Los Angeles Lakers, the storied franchise in the city that is just offers everything that he has, a hometown product, and he stays in Oklahoma. So to make a gamble like this, to me, that the Paul George of last year would make me hesitate on gambling and say, no, I'm going to trade for someone.
Right.
To get them in and convince them to stay before I try to get them in free agency.
Well, the trade that is yet to happen is the one where Anthony Davis exits the Pelicans. The
he's out.
It hasn't taken place just yet, but Alvin Gentry, he's already over it.
To me, to be honest with you, it really pisses me off, if you want to know the truth, if you want me to speak in layman's terms. Because you should ask us if we feel like second-class citizens. And I can tell you right now, that is the farthest from the truth there is. There is nothing that we ask for or we want or anything that they won't give us and Mrs. B won't give us to try to help us win games. So whoever wrote that, you're actually full of shit, if you want to know the truth.
Earmuffs, kiddies. So when you hear him say it's like we're a second-class franchise organization, what is that? How do you react to hearing
7 years, man? I think it was 7 years he's been in. 7 years is is that mark for most great players, and they say either I'm going to be here for the rest of my career, or I'm going to move. It has nothing to do with. I don't even think the New Orleans Pelicans being a second-class organization has nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. They've treated him with the utmost respect. They brought in Boogie Cousins last year. They brought in Nurkic. They brought in Rondo. They signed Holiday. They have made some moves that would be, could possibly put him in position, but it just hasn't. So he's saying this is the 7-year mark, and that is the indicator. I don't even know off the top of my head when Chris Webber was a free agent, when Akeem Olajuwon, like all of these guys from the past, and now you bring LeBron James in his 7th year. What did he like? That's the year when guys say, "I'm gonna stay here forever," or "I'm gonna leave."
And that last point, I think this past year, by not bringing back Rondo, we know Boogie's injury kind of made everyone hesitant. I think if you'd have done a few more things, to Kenny's point, and after talking to Rich Paul at the game the other night, that was a deciding factor. In year 7, you're not making the moves that makes us feel comfortable that we want to stay here for our whole career. That's why Rich Paul did what he did.
Well, it makes sense so far in those 7 seasons. The Pelicans have only made it to the postseason twice.
I don't even think it's the moves, though. And D, I don't think it's the moves that they make. Because I think those moves that they made they were going for it in a sense. It just didn't work out. Now it's like you tried, but it just that wasn't the girl I wanted to take to the prom. Or I even could get to I could even get a prom invitation. Because I didn't get to the playoffs. I couldn't even get to dinner. So now it didn't work out. It doesn't have anything to do that you didn't do all of the things. You bought the flowers, you bought the candy, you set up the limousine. It's just nobody. You opened the limousine and nobody was in it. No playoff was inside of that limousine.
Right.
3D, any more prom day commentary?
No, I think we hit on the head. I just wanted to make sure the casual fan understood.
No doubt.
We got so much. Twitter, how come all this guy get fined and that? I just want everyone to understand why the process was the way it was.
Well, that's what we're here for, to give you knowledge, everything. Trade deadline show is coming up. We are going to have it here for you. Make sure you keep it locked on NBA TV. February.
When is that? 6th. Man, I might come in for that.
I mean, you might have to, Jay.
I might just fly in early for that.
I mean, you might as well. Back-to-back Thursday and Wednesday, we got you covered. Check the times are on your screen. But tonight, that's Giannis. The Bucks have gone 11-3 in January, tied for the best mark in the NBA. They visit the Raptors, who have the second best record at home in the East, 21-4. Who's going to win tonight? It's on TNT.
He'll never get traded.
They're constructing the perfect NBA player, using skill sets and attributes for current players narrowed down through a survey in which GMs and head coaches have weighed in. Here are the choices for this week's category. Who has the best jump shot in the NBA? Steph Curry.
Another one of those parking lot threes from Curry.
This man's pulling up from 35 feet with ease.
J.J. Redick.
J.J. Redick with that majestic three-point stroke.
Klay Thompson.
Thompson for 3. Yes. Talk about catching fire here. Oh, my goodness.
Now it's up to you to vote for your choice right now on Twitter and help us build the perfect player.
Jump shooting this time around. You can vote on Twitter at NBA TV until noon on Friday. The candidates are the Splash Brothers and J.J. Redick. When this topic came up and we were presented these 3 candidates, my first reaction was, it's Steph.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I gave it to you, and you guys said,
Steph.
Yes, okay, all right, just so we're on the same page. And that's got nothing to do with the other 2 guys.
For me, he's the greatest shooter of all time. Right. Whether it's off the bounce, whether it's distance, whether it's catch and shoot, and there's so many criteria for me. And I think for me, it's contested now. That's the next thing we should start talking about, contested. Who's the best contested shooter from distance? And it's Steph and KD, James Harden, and those guys. But I think overall, you give me Steph any day. And I love Klay. I think that's where we should start talking. Where do you rank Klay as all-time shooters?
Now, to go into the background, when we approached general managers, when NBA TV approached general managers about candidates for this, shooting form was part of the equation as well. And you might argue that you like J.J. Redick's form or Klay Thompson's form, which is classic, better than Steph's. In terms of results, for me, it's pretty hard to argue against Steph Curry. His worst season from three-point range, for instance, is only slightly off Klay's career average. Conversely, Klay's best three-point shooting season, 44% last year, is barely better than Steph's career number. And these are, again, great shooters, but you're talking about the best of all time.
Yeah, the best of all time. And look, you talk about the three-point shooting era that we're in right now, and all these great shooters Smitty talked about. Klay Thompson, you could even maybe throw J.J. Redick, Harden in there. These guys are some of the best in the game, the best that we've seen. And the separation between them and Steph, there's a huge gap in my opinion, in terms of shooting and all the criteria that Smitty alluded to. But Klay Thompson, I mean, what he does and how he shoots it, the quick release, the confidence, just off the charts. It's funny. We're in this era where everybody shoots threes, and not everybody necessarily should be shooting threes.
Right.
But when you watch Klay Thompson, it's like going to the ballet. Like it's a thing of beauty. And he and Steph combined, two of maybe the best of all time on the same team at the same time. It's pretty remarkable.
You know, Matt, we've been around and doing games, all of us, and you come up with a stat and you say, and Will Chamberlain.
Yeah, right.
Steph is starting to be that for me.
He's going to
shooting.
be the end, yeah.
You know, at the end, to me, if it goes well, it's going to be, we're going to talk about all these great shooters, and Steph is not going to be, we're going to be mentioning him like Wilt.
Right.
That stat is going to be so far put out of range. I think that's where Steph is going to be far as shooting.
You know, in terms of three-point percentage, and jump shooting is more than threes, but Kyle Korver's got incredible career numbers, but he can't do the things that Steph Curry does off the move, off the dribble, in awkward situations. The range, he's redefined what's a good shot in the NBA. It's just, it's a different era because of that guy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some guys that flat out can shoot it. They're 3 for 5, 2 for 4. But this guy's 10 for 20. You know what I mean? There's a difference. He's shooting a whole bunch of three-point field goal attempts, and he's shooting shots that was, for me, is in big-time games, in crunch time when they need him. So it's hard. It's unbelievable what he's doing with the guy when you start talking about shooting.
If he's the best jump shooter of all time, is number 2 on this list, or is it somebody else?
That's where I think we should start debating, and I would love for us to get into that. And I think he's the best all time, but that's when you got the Clay, the Ray, the Reggies. That's when we start to talk about who's number 2.
Then that'll be next season when we do our second most perfect player.
Second.
So look for that next year. And look for Crunch Time coming up tonight at 9:30 Eastern Time. All the big finishes around the league from this Wednesday night. Coming up here in the meantime on Game Time Live, Jaren Jackson Jr. is having a great rookie season in Memphis. Area 21 pays a visit to the Grizzlies. Look next.